is the dirt road we came on. So this is the view at the trailhead. Parked up, getting ready. After reading this information, it's time to hit the trail down. And we're embarking on the journey. The eventual goal is to go to the top of that mesa up there. Some nice scenery here. Slowly getting into the woods. Sycamore Canyon Wilderness. That's the trail. This is a very bouldery stretch we have to cross. It's a dry river, basically, but you can see that it rained recently. You can see all the rain marks on the soil. That's the way we came down. This is a beautiful brook. Very cold water, but it's very clean. Beautiful. These are some obstacles to be crossed in order to avoid having to cross the river at an awkward spot. This is a very pristine lake, except when you have to cross it. You gotta cross this raging stream. Managed to cross that with my walking poles. And now it's time to continue further along. All kinds of obstacles that need to be crossed, but nothing stops people that are adventurous in mind and spirit. Some more fencing and obstacles. Climbing up this little trail. Rocks, cactus, and the typical obstacles that you find in a desert. This is a high desert and it's pretty cold, so luckily don't have to worry about critters. There are some cairns placed at regular intervals to help us a little bit, but by and large, we're pretty much on our own. Just gotta follow the civil trail and keep going further on up. Continuing on. Trail marker and a little distance covered with much more to go. Continuing on. Continuing further along. Those guys are paused for a hydration break, and I'll steal a second to show you all the views. That's where we came from. Continuing after a brief break, that's where we get to the top of. That's the goal. Came from yonder, climbed up that cliff, and now turning towards this mesa to the right. Continuing further on the trail. Some nice views to partake of while exercising. A few more steps as these guys are finally seen catching a shade break. That's the mesa we got to get to the top of. So I'll join them and take a quick minute to pause before moving forward. It's still pretty cold, but nevertheless, it's always a welcome sight to see the sun and take a break to punctuate the hike. Enjoy the views. Moving on further. Further. The trail is actually going down for a bit, which is interesting given the topography of this place. Okay, back up again. We gotta go a little ways down and then up before catching up to those guys that were just a few seconds ago right by that tree. Continuing further, the trail's going up as I make progress to the site of these beautiful canyon views. A quick 30-second breather as I take a look at this cairn, assess the trail, and try to follow it with my eyes to catch up with those guys behind the tree, eventually making it to the top of that mesa. Continuing further with the excitement of apparently seeing some ruins. Continuing further, it's basically undulating now, up in spots, down in spots, with of course some nice nature views to keep us occupied while we're on our feet. Continuing upwards through the rocks with Sycamore Canyon in full view. Yep, that's where we came from. Where we have to go and what I'm looking at right now. Up, continuing on up, it's Sycamore Canyon in full view. Looking back at the path traversed. Yep, that's where we gotta go. Catch up with the people at the top of your screen. Now, that's Sycamore Canyon, and what you see in the distance is not a cloud. That, in the middle of your screen, is the top of Mount Humphrey in Flagstaff. Came up that way, up here, and there's the trail, and here I am, poised to go further on up. Caught up with these guys and checking out the views of this place. Continuing on further after a brief break. Having come from there, now we're crossing into the other side of the canyon. So the views to the other side will be different and exciting for sure. Let's see where this trail takes us. Continuing on up further, we're almost at the top. Hopefully the trail flattens out soon. Given the location of these cairns and their placement, I must be in the right path. At least I know I can't go wrong with these views. Well, it has gone a little bit flatter as the trail turned towards the southwest. Let's keep going. Over there is where I took the last video. That over there is Flagstaff, Mount Humphreys, and I'm continuing to go ahead on the trail. Further along the flatter portion of the trail on top of the mesa, as the views of Sedona and Flagstaff in the distance continue to impress. Still chugging along. There's a cairn, so it means I must be in the right path. Further along, and on towards that direction.
How about you?
Oh, I'm fine.
The girl's fading.
I'm fine.
Oh, I'm just going to keep an eye on the tracks.
Yep. We must be at the highest point of the trail, because now it's either flat or descending a bit. Still going. It's going to be a long walk. Yep, continuing to make further progress. It's pretty monotonous at this point, but I'm getting my steps in for the day, possibly the week. Still going on. View's pretty much unchanged. The trail's getting a little trickier to navigate, but these cairns are helping a lot. Shoelace and trail. Found a good spot to pause for a break and take care of some business before going further on. It's a different kind of cholla pine.
Parece diferente especie de cholla.
Yeah. No, it's not AI. It's me continuing my walk on the trail. Holy cow, this is a dead cow. Wow. Must be disease. I don't see any trauma or anything. It's just disease. Just came across this dead cow. It's been tagged. and it's lying in the middle of nowhere. After some time at the cows, or dead cow rather, we're continuing on further on our own business. Highway marker 66, continuing on. Gotta be careful about these trees.
No, my eyes okay, just up here. Okay. I just had so many injuries lately.
These can be mean.
Freaky.
Continuing further. As I said, it's a very, very long trail. Getting more in towards the pines, ponderosa pines. There is a marker, and we'll just keep following the sign. A few more steps into a property. A fence for sure. In a few seconds, we're out of this property. It's getting to be a little annoying now because there are a lot of plants with thorns that are poking into my shoes. Continuing on the trail, navigating thorns and dung, looking out for cairns like these, and going on further. Continuing further past pine trees and scenic sandstone cliffs. I must be in the right path because I do see some signs of habitation and some markings ahead. Leaving my footprints on the rain-beaten path and continuing further with the hopes of seeing the ruins. We're taking a diversion from that road and heading in to that canyon. Walking along this rain-beaten gully, going up that hill. Up, up, and up we go. Came from there, came up this trail, followed this path, and now heading further on up. Yep, continuing on. Up, up, and up. Got to a plateau of sorts. Continuing further to that view. Where I came from, where I'm at, and where I'm headed towards. That's a scenic canyon view. Yep, continuing further along, navigating around cactus plants and boulders. Okay. Okay, after some more climbing, there is some sign of humanity in the form of that notice. Enjoy, but do not destroy your heritage. Okay. Okay, I'm now at the other side of the canyon. You can see the ruins of Sedona in the distance. Yep, that's all Sedona. Gotta keep going along this ledge, I guess. I guess the ruins are over there. So, got some more scrambling to do. Okay, here's where I'm standing at. And you can see Sedona in the distance. And the ruins are up there to the left of your screen. Now moving towards the center. Yep, that's the end goal. So I do need 5 limbs, 3 at the bottom and 2 at the top to navigate this stretch of rocks to get there. So bear with me while I make my way up to the top. And I have arrived at the ruins. I'm going to pause for a second, leave all my stuff here, and go inside those ruins to explore. Talk about a home with a scenic view. This is a stack of rocks that forms the exterior wall to this complex with this view. It's absolutely panoramic. It's absolutely scenic. I'm going to explore a little more just to kind of get a feel for the area before I continue on to the top. These ceilings are very, very low, so I do have to watch my head and bend myself before getting in and proceeding with caution. But once I get here, it's a tad darker than what I expected it to be. But this is how the natives preferred. So you can see how low the ceilings are, almost touching my head. And that is the entrance that I came in from. This is about as far as I can go. So I'm going to pause here, take a look at the ruins and the view from here, and show you what the cave rock formations look like. You can see this ceiling of what I just crawled underneath, and you can see where my feet are. Okay, after checking out that area, I'm going to follow this beam and extrapolate it out to show you what the view is like once I get underneath this door and get out. That is the view of the ruins. If I do a 0.5x panorama, this is what the ruins would look like with the backdrop of Sedona. That's the opening, the valley that we came on, and this is the dwelling that I just got out of. You can see the precariously stacked rocks, bonded pretty well, and once again I'll take a peek to show you what it looks like with 0.5x. A sense of what it looks like vertically, this is what it looks like. It's a tall, towering cliff overlooking the canyon, and this is the entrance to this complex. If I pan around further, you'll see the rock stack that served as a foundation for this complex. It's time for some photo ops and memory making, because these are very, very well kept and reconstructed, obviously, by the rangers. Apparently, there used to be another floor up there based on the evidence that you can see. A couple of holes, a couple of stacked rocks, but all of that was destroyed somehow by forces of nature or an earthquake, who knows. But these are what remain as of now. I'm gonna get back up there in a second, but right now I'm just gonna take a few steps down and pass through this little doorway into the main section, and now I'm gonna go inside this section and crawl inside if I can, inside this section. These are not easy to get into, but when I do, it's worth the reward. You can see the bamboo stacks, and you can see the beams that supported this structure. What's really interesting about this spot is that lava once upon a time descended down on the limestone to form this formation, which is why you actually see some pink patches of stone embedded within black patches. That up there is the leftover of what was once a structure. That was the structure that I was in where I took the previous videos. So I'm in one of the chambers right now, and you can see that this is the maximum height of the chamber. It's not more than 5 feet and maybe 3 or 4 inches, but this is perfect for these people to stay sheltered from the elements, from the sunshine, and hidden from potential invaders. The Sinagua Indians built this about the 8th to 12th centuries. Here's another view from the top of this chamber. I'm sitting on a rocky outcrop to show you the view of the surroundings and of where we're at with regards to these two chambers. Interesting. This is a very rich place, steeped in history. In case you don't believe me, it does snow in Arizona. Kind of in the middle of your screen, you can see a snowy peak in the distance. That is Mount Humphrey in Flagstaff. That's the tallest mountain of Arizona. So this, my friends, is a 360-degree view, or 180-degree view, rather, of the entire ruins complex. You can see how that's the main structure. I am on one side of it, and let me step to the side so you can see a view of this amazing canyon. Isn't this amazing? This is what the Sinagua Indians... There's some scoping activity going on while I try to capture these magnificent ruins in this area. Some video surveillance going on. Yep, the bird is flying. So this, my friends, is the full view of the whole cavity, or cave rather, where the ruins are situated in. You can see the structures stacked up on top of one another as I sit right under the shelter of the opening and present the view to you. All right, down goes the bird. To give you a summary, that's again Mount Humphreys in the north, and this is Sedona. These are the red rocks, and this is the eastern flank of Sycamore Canyon. This is what these residents used to be greeted with day in and day out. This is the view of the ruins looking towards the western side. That over there, yonder, is Flagstaff, and this is a hidden alcove facing Flagstaff. Saying one last goodbye to these beautiful ruins before heading back down. Bye, ruins. And another goodbye from this angle. Bye, ruins. The descent down is not going to be easy. It's going to be quite slippery for some time, but we'll take it step by step. up our belongings at the bottom of the ruins before heading back down. Enjoy the view. Goodbyes are always hard, but it's time to say goodbye for real. Down the steep rocky path again. Oh, this I will need all 5 of my hands, my stick included of course, for this. Goodbye ruins. Now back onto the thorns, the boulders, and path ahead. Got to go up that little ledge to the right and down the hill. Said bye to the ruins over there and back on the desert path. Said bye to the ruins complex, passed the sign, obeyed all posted signs, and now headed back down this little mountain towards the long return ahead. Now that the trail is going down, it's a more systematic cadence. The familiar landmark. Back to dead cacti, thorns, rocks, and other treacherous conditions on the trail. But the progress continues. Back along the gully, the rain-washed gully, headed towards that formation. Back on the rain-washed dirt road. Looking back at where we came from and leaving with good memories. Some footprints, some photos and videos, but leaving nothing behind. At the spot where we made the turn, and we're now headed back towards the property that we need to cross. Our views from those mountains are now in the rear view mirror as we continue further on. Off the road, back onto the pedestrian only civilian path. Still progressing along on the trail, headed towards our starting point. Warrens are very, very dangerous. These cat claws stick to people with a vengeance. Back to the absolutely annoying stretch of trail where there are thorns on both sides. Gotta get past this somehow in one piece. Ugh. Okay, back into the property. I'm gonna pass it for a few seconds. Took a few seconds to get thorns off of our shoes and feet and back out of this property onto the cairns and the hilly terrain. Continuing further along using these cairns and other familiar landmarks as guidelines to keep our progress going. The goal is to beat the daylight so we don't have to be stuck here during the night hours. Continuing to make further progress amidst these beautiful pines. The landscape is getting a little monotonous. The exercise is always welcome because for people like us with sedentary lifestyles and jobs, this is a good opportunity to explore history and soak in some of nature while getting our steps in. Would you rather be in a gym on a treadmill and just doing bland exercises? Still marching on. Marching on and on and on. Some more conversations and more trudging along the trail through the pine trees again. Continuing on the muddy track on forward. Back to the dead cow that we spotted. The smell is much stronger now because of the lack of wind, but we're trying to stand here and guess its age. Given its age, I'm guessing it was not before this summer, but I could be wrong. I wish I had the technology to estimate that right now. Same scene. Nothing to write home about, except further progress being made towards the start. Afternoon sun, that was a good spot to hydrate before continuing on further along the trail. The trail's getting a little trickier now with the sun going down at an angle and the cairns taking a break. So we'll just follow the general direction and see where we go. Back on the civil trail and continuing further to the west. More and more and more of this constant trudging along. Continuing on further along the trail. Same views, but it's very refreshing compared to what I normally see during the work days, bound by the four walls of my room. More of the same. Cairns, trails, thorns, rocks, and continuing along. Continuing along. Continuing further. Hopefully the mountain that we crossed in the morning is around the corner, because it's been a while since we've been walking and the views are a little monotonous now. Finally, a change in scenery and a good view of what lies ahead of us. Heading on further towards the southwest amidst the pines and cairns, and hoping that the road turns soon. The trail rather turns soon. Well, the turn finally happened, and we're now headed closer to the south towards Sycamore Canyon. These views are more of the bushy or shrubby kind as I continue to make progress through the obstacle courses, and it looks like I'm on the right path given the pole that's standing here. Okay, that's where I came from. I'm standing underneath a tree right now, very similar to the one on your screen, looking at Flagstaff and the snowy mountains thereon, and I'm headed that way. Continuing on further on the trail with Sycamore Canyon slowly coming into view and the sun lighting up the portions of the north. More of the same. Finally crossing the mesa towards the other side that we came from. So you can now start to see the Sycamore Canyon and other scenic portions of Sedona as I continue descending further down below. Down some gravel right now with the scenic canyon in view ahead of me. I like these views because there is some diversity and some change from the regular grind as I take every step further down the path. Now the race is on to try and beat the daylight, so I'm back down on these sets of rocks trying to make my way down the canyon as soon as I can. Now I am within the shadows of that little mountain over there, and I am continuing to make my way further down. Continuing on Route 66, the scenic trail, as the elevation changes keep happening, but I'm now mainly on the downward descent down this trail. Coming further down, navigating some rocks, and here's the trail. Here are people, and here is a view of Sycamore Canyon lit up in the evening glory of the sun. After some pleasantries and conversations, it's time to go further down. These are awesome views. You can sing any marching song you want, but and no song will match the splendor of this trail that we're descending on right now. It's just so scenic. Yep, the trail keeps going down. That's me, continuing on downwards. Where I came from, the view of Sycamore Canyon, some rocks, and the trail I have to continue on. By now, we've pretty much said goodbye to the sun, because the sun is behind that mountain now, and I am just following this trail right along the base of the mountain and continuing to make my way with the scenic canyon in the foreground. On some loose gravel now, as I continue to take my steps further down towards the bottom with the beautiful canyon in sight. Further down on these slippery rocks and enjoy the views of the canyon in the front and to the right as I keep descending down further and further, trying to race against time, or daylight to be specific. Yep, that's where the trail goes, further on that way. So I am still here, but making progress. Further down, we've lost some elevation, and I'm continuing to go further on ahead down the canyon towards the parking lot, which hopefully isn't too far, but I still got some ways to go on these rocks. Continuing my descent further down, and yes, we're not too far. You can see the car in the middle of your screen. That's where we're parked. But we got to go back down and then cross the river and go up that canyon. So we still got some ways to go, but not too much. It's within sight. Okay, it looks like I'm back in the sun again for now. That's the car. So all of the elevation is gone, pretty much. Now I just have to go down and then go up again. Now I am at an even lower elevation when compared to the car. Just a little further, but I gotta cross the river first. So let's focus on that. Okay, getting out of the fenced area, down in the grassland, and on towards the crossing. If I can find where to cross the river. Managed to cross the river by playing hopscotch and came out in one piece. My feet are mainly dry, and it's time to go back up. Okay, navigating through some very bouldery conditions and making it back to the trail, back to our starting point with the group. The car is up there, out of the bouldery area, back onto the trail. This is the confluence of these two trails, Packard and Parsons. And here's a signboard again. Bye! We loved you. Back up on the trail, gaining some elevation as I go. It's the last stretch before I hit the car. Where I came from, pausing for a second before continuing to go up there. On the last stretch of the trail before we hit the car, pausing for one last view of the valley, the mountains, and the trail we came on. Back through the entrance markers. Yep, the same entrance markers. That's the way we came up after crossing the river and going to those mountains yonder at the center of your screen. Now, I am at the last and final leg of the trail before I hit the car. Okay, it was a nice trail. Made it back to the car and beat the daylight. Woohoo! Back in the car, off we go, back home. Why did the cows cross the road? Beautiful. Those cows crossed the road and they're headed home after feeding on the pasture. Look at these three huge cows staring at me. They're waiting to cross the road, but they're scared. Look at these big cows crossing the road, nudging each other to go on and move into the pasture.
Scattering, I mean like the light scattering through like the vision. You know what I mean? So that's what gives it that.
And I'm back home with the moon shining brightly in the eastern horizon. All indications that the hike was auspicious and ended well. Thank you very much for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and would like to see more like these, then please feel free to navigate to my page, find the subscribe button, and click on it. Thank you very much, and I shall look forward to seeing you soon.